So, things aren't great right now.
A major billion-dollar merger deal between Netflix.
Netflix has struck a nearly $83 billion deal to acquire Warner Brothers.
Personally, don't see how these mergers and acquisitions
and to bring people together through great story
benefit a consumer at all.
Anti-monopoly nightmare.
Paramount Skydance launching a hostile bid for Warner Brothers.
Cinema is essentially dead now.
Blue Chip, they were mailing DVDs out. They had 1,500 titles a couple of years ago that they were sending out in the mail.
Send alarm to antitrust enforcers around the world.
Movie theaters will change forever because of this.
And Trump proceeding cautiously on Netflix's $72 billion deal to buy.
Well, that's got to go through a process, and we'll see what happens.
This week, I was so excited to sit down and discuss Tim Robinson's new comedy series, The Chair Company. I loved it. I was excited to discuss what we could expect from the next season, what I loved about the first season, but it turns out Netflix had to steal Tim Robinson's thunder. And I mean, it comes as no shock that I'm discussing this. I feel like everyone on this platform that discusses film or television in any form of way should probably voice an opinion on this. And of course, I'm talking about the fact that Netflix has decided to buy Warner Brothers Discovery for a total of $72 billion. Obviously, it wasn't a big surprise that Warner Brothers were trying to sell their stuff. I've been saying myself for the past 5 or 6 years that this was probably going to happen with Warner Brothers. They've had a pretty fantastic year this year with some of their biggest films being Minecraft and, Sinners did also very well. But the past couple of years, it has really seemed as if the company was heading in this direction with some just absolutely insane choices, with the kind of turning point for me being during the pandemic when they decided to release all of their films in cinemas the same day that they would also be releasing them on HBO Max. This was dumb. I cannot fucking fathom the amount of people that probably watched all these films illegally and pirated or torrented them. Sure, some people might have bought HBO Max just for that, but that's only available in America, so I don't really know what they expected would come from this. Of course, that leads us to the deal, which, this is fucked, to put it bluntly. I have also no real structure for this video. I really just want to get some things off my chest about how I feel about it, and why this is probably a really bad sign for things to come. Now, before I even really say anything properly, I want to say that I am not against the idea of streaming services. I pay for some, I have family members that pay for Netflix, and it's just an inevitable thing that would come into the area of watching movies and television. In the same way that all those years ago television got introduced, and then before you knew it we had cable. Cable was a huge thing, and now that's kind of bleeding out so that streaming can come into its own. Although the streaming model is nowhere near as clean and honestly more capitalist than cable ever really was. Netflix used to be the example to bring up when people would be like, oh, well, I don't know about streaming, and someone would return the conversation by saying, well, look at what Netflix does. They have some good things. At one point in time, they really were a company that actually cared about what they were outputting into the world, especially in television, where they were producing stuff like Stranger Things, Orange is the New Black, BoJack Horseman, The Crown. These were all originals that actually had some substance to them. And you can say what you want about Stranger Things, but it's, for the most part, quite good quality television that you can enjoy from the comfort of your home. You can binge if you like. And it's very clear that there's an artistic vision behind it. This isn't just some people in suits going, well, we have to hit this demographic and Q4. But then you compare it to what Netflix's originals look like nowadays, and the output is just fucking insanely bizarre, with them hitting stuff like Wednesday, which I imagine they kind of had some idea would pop off. I mean, there was that whole TikTok thing about it. That's the issue nowadays, is that a lot of the stuff that they cater towards is just trying to hit a demographic on something like TikTok so that it blows up, people relate to it, people hop onto the trend, and they sit there and go, well, I have to see this so I can understand what everyone else is talking about. Just wait till they make a 6-7 TV show. I'm telling you, give it like a month, it'll be in development. It'll be like that fucking Tuah reality show that they clearly realized had no ground to really stand on. But basically what I'm trying to say at the end of this is Netflix is not a company that cares about what it's putting out. A big thing to note when watching stuff like documentaries or films on it is that you can tell what they have single-handedly produced and what they only really distributed. Apparently they're removing the little icon that tells you this. You can tell the difference when something's a Netflix film or if something's a Netflix original. The original stuff they produced, a film, is just something that they have. I can tell the difference when I'm watching something like J. Kelly or House of Dynamite and how it clearly has an artistic vision behind it and isn't just made for the sake of trying to get people in to subscribe. Another great example around this recently was something like, I'm realizing I'm not talking about the deal at all, I'm getting there. Another great example of this though is the new documentary The Perfect Neighbor, which I did not want to watch for a while because of the stigma around a Netflix original. Then I watched it and realized, oh, they just distribute this. That makes sense. That's probably why it's good. That's one of the big issues about them acquiring Warner Brothers, is that they will cater so much towards just trying to get people to sit and engage with slop, rather than trying to deliver an actual artistic vision that people might like. I mean, you look at what has done well this year, and although the box office charts are taken away by absolute fucking trash, like Lilo and Stitch, or a Minecraft movie, or Jurassic World Rebirth, you scroll down a little bit, there's some original IPs here that people are actually interested in seeing clearly, like Sinners or Weapons or One Battle, which I know was kind of a flop in some regards, but at the end of the day, who cares? The movie got made, and people liked it. Now, I know there's some people sitting there that probably think, oh, well, maybe you're just overreacting, like we might get more cool stuff, more original IPs. And I'll tell you why I truthfully just don't believe that at all. If this acquisition is successful, and again, it might not be. Apparently Trump made a statement saying this might be a bad thing. Who knows, maybe for the first time in his life he'll actually do something noteworthy and good, but I am not holding my breath. If all of this is successful, you have to keep in mind that Netflix won't just walk away with like one or two things. They'll walk away with Friends, the Ocean series, Gremlins, Evil Dead, Mad Max, The Matrix, Beetlejuice, DC Comics, Adult Swim, Tom and Jerry, The Jetsons, Casablanca, Harry Potter, Citizen Kane, The Goonies, Scooby-Doo, Rick and Morty, Johnny Bravo, Looney Tunes, The Hangover, The Conjuring, The Sopranos, Robot Chicken, Mortal Kombat, HBO and HBO Max, Smiling Friends, The Flintstones, The Boondocks, Adventure Time, Sex and the City, Final Destination, Cartoon Network, Game of Thrones, Singing in the Rain, The Powerpuff Girls, A Clockwork Orange, The Big Bang Theory, Minecraft, Courage the Cowardly Dog, The Wizard of Oz, The Lord of the Rings, The Monsterverse. We are so fucked. I can't wait to be sitting down one day to notice the new Scooby-Doo 10-minute series on Netflix, where I can binge all 66 episodes in a day. And then when I'm done with that, I can go on and watch the new season of the Harry Potter show, which will get cancelled after one season. It doesn't matter though, because they'll reboot it again 2 weeks later. And don't forget about the Casablanca remake, which will star Sydney Sweeney in both roles. This is so bad for a million reasons. And we're already in a clusterfuck of an industry that is prioritizing original IP so much more over anything else. The lack of original artistic opinion or art in this industry will slowly decrease even more than it already is, because at the end of the day, this is a company ran by a man that does not care about anything else other than meeting his profit margins every quarter and making sure that his pockets are big enough to hold the biggest checks in the world from the stupidest fucking people in the world, which are the people that consume the products. I used to watch every single thing I could in the cinema just for the sake of how much I loved going there and experiencing, you know, sitting in a room of strangers and watching a movie with them. I stopped going to see everything when I realized something like the Emoji movie comes out and everyone clowns on it. But then the film walks away with $250 million and you can't help but sit there and go, I kind of caused that by going to see the movie twice with friends because we thought it'd be funny to make fun of it. This is comparable with stuff like television when you have the Velma TV show that everyone said looked like woke trash, but they renewed it because you wanted to hate on that woke trash. The Kim Kardashian lawyer show, which everyone claimed was so awful and cringy they would never watch in the world. But hey, it's been renewed for a season 2, so clearly some of you were fucking lying about that. I understand that what I'm saying with my movie watching is privilege. There's some countries that don't get these films for years, and I understand the privilege of getting to see all that stuff. And I also understand the privilege of living in a world nowadays where films are just so accessible, and I should be happy that people out there can go and watch something that they would have never anticipated because thankfully they pay for the right streaming service. But my issue with this is, when a film that is so perfectly crafted by an auteur is put onto a streaming service, which is just an ever-growing landfill for slop, it just makes it another movie. It's not an event like it would be in the cinema. It's another sweet wrapper chucked into the bin and then taken to the landfill where it just lays there, not having any chance to grow its own legs or for people to go out there and actually find it, especially when you have a service that is just catered and full of shit. There will be little to no individual significance towards any films placed onto any of these things within this climate if this happens. And also, while we're on the topic of just slop, I am not a fan of Netflix's business model. I have said this in this video, but I've also said this over the years. Their model more or less just consists of throwing as much money at the wall as possible, hoping that something works out. Oh no, we financed 50 films and 48% of them got a 3 on Rotten Tomatoes, but think about those 2 that went viral on TikTok and Twitter. Everyone's talking about them, so we make that money back. If you want like the worst example of hypercapitalism in a modern world, then really, you just have to look at Netflix. I'm not even counting any other streaming services in this conversation for the sake of shitting on this company, really. They spend as much money as possible on the highest productions of just absolutely nothing. Just trash that will trend for a couple days and eventually move on for the next bit of slop. There's no substance, there's no vision, there's nothing. It's just a product that you are there to consume and then move on to the next product when it's ready. In my humble opinion, as someone that talks about movies on a very regular basis and watches them on a daily basis, films are meant to be a special thing. You go to any cinema and you go and watch a movie. Whether it's good or bad, you went out of your way to support the industry, support cinemas, and also go and have that experience for yourself or with others. Now, with stuff like this happening, there can be eventful streaming releases, but it's so fucking rare for any of that to happen. A new Noah Baumbach film came out just the other day. How many people are familiar with this? How many people that actually really like films know this? I didn't until I went on the app and I scrolled down for a bit and it was like, oh, when the fuck did this come out? Even the biggest shows in the world on stuff like HBO, with an example like Welcome to Derry, is familiar that it's better to go for a traditional weekly release rather than catering to binging so that people can talk about your thing for a couple days and then completely forget and move on about it. There's something special about going onto Twitter every week to see what everyone is saying about the newest episode of this or that. And I mean, Stranger Things, again, an example that people love to shit on, is stretching their show out for as long as possible, but fuck, at least it gets the conversation going a little bit. And yeah, that's probably just to boost Netflix's numbers for subscriptions, but I'll let it slide just this once in this video. I'm not saying that everything has to submit to one way or another, but for me personally, it seems that everything is going way too far into one specific direction, and it's essentially just trying to eliminate those other options entirely. And it's miserable to see as someone that grew up falling in love with cinema and is slowly realizing that they're kind of trying to take that love away from me. I didn't mention the impact that this whole thing will have on cinemas because I feel like it's fairly obvious. Cinemas are already a dying breed. I mean, it's very rare to go see a film not on opening weekend and for it to have more than like 10 people in it. I saw Wicked for Good the other day and there was 5 other people in the cinema. And that is one of the biggest films of the year that's been out for 2 weeks. People just are losing interest in it, and it's because streaming is trying to offer a much more accessible way to just sit and watch these things at home. And it's sad to see. It really is. I'd like to think, if anyone watching this even cares and still has that love for film, that they make sure to go out and watch these movies in the theatre where they are intended to be watched, but I think people are on the verge of giving up. I guess the big takeaway for this is to say, if you do have this love, don't give up on an industry like this. As much as people online, fucking podcasters will tell you over and over again that this is a declining industry, it's dying, there's nothing special, everyone's a hack, everyone's fake, all of the products are bullshit, they're lying to you. None of that's true. This is a business that has thrived for more than 100 years, And I'll be fucking damned if it gets killed over a company that used to send out DVDs. Maybe Netflix just has to remember where they came from. Thank you for watching, I guess. Next week, I will try and talk about something less intense than this. I don't know, I felt like as someone that posts these videos on YouTube and for the internet to see, I would kind of be doing a disservice not to mention just how awful this is, but to remember that, you know, the cinemas are still there. You can still, while they're there, make sure to take advantage of them, because who knows what's going to happen anytime soon. And as always, it's fuck Netflix till the day I die. Please comment down below, give me your opinion on this. I'd love to hear what other people think about this, if I'm just overreacting or are we really in the end times. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.